The NBA season will soon be drawing to a close, and teams will be turning their attention to the offseason and trade deals to try and bolster their rosters for next season. But which teams need what, and who's going to be going where? There's so many possibilities. Today, we are discussing offseason trade ideas involving all-stars, which fans around the NBA want to see, so don't go anywhere. First up, it's Russell Westbrook. Since Westbrook first walked through the door at the Lakers last summer, he's been the subject of trade rumors, and some might say he's even been the scapegoat for a poor Lakers season overall. However, the former Wizards point guard still has a huge contract in LA, which is obviously putting a lot of teams off. But there is one scenario which could potentially interest the Rockets, which involves John Wall going to the Lakers. The Rockets showed a bit of interest when it was revealed that the LA outfit were looking to move their number 0 at the trade deadline this season, so they could be tempted to reignite their interest, possibly? Westbrook and Wall were involved in the same trade deal back in 2009, and it's possible that they could be involved in another one this offseason. The Rockets were reportedly willing to send Wall to LA in exchange for Russ this year, but the move fell apart after they also asked for a future first-round draft pick. But Rob Pelinka had other thoughts. Westbrook leaving will probably be priority 1 for the Lakers this year due to the lack of chemistry he seems to have with Braun and Anthony Davis, and John Wall could be the perfect fit for them. It's also been suggested that the Lakers could be willing to include Talen Horton-Tucker and Kendrick Nunn, whilst also receiving Eric Gordon. What do you guys think of this one? We're discussing the future of Malcolm Brogdon next, so stick around. It's been suggested in some quarters that thanks to Brogdon's patchy injury record, the Pacers could be willing to move on with him this summer. And having been in the NBA for 6 years now, averaging 20.4 points, he'd probably be seen as a coup for anyone, even with the injuries. The Pacers probably aren't done rebuilding, and they could probably get some young talent in to flesh out the roster a little bit more and plan for the future as well. And if there is a rumor out there that the Timberwolves could be willing to take Brogdon off Indiana's hands in exchange for Malik Beasley, Jaden McDaniels, and a second-round 22 pick as well. This would allow them to build the team around Tyrese Halliburton, who's been touted as the future of Pacers basketball. Beasley is a dangerous three-point shooter, and McDaniels provides a decent option in the power forward position, and it's hard to see him ousting Vanderbilt from the Timberwolves lineup this year, so a trade could be good for the young number 3. However, Minnesota, they're in a decent position in the backcourt, but they could be open to trading D'Angelo Russell if they could bring in Bogdan, who is a solid two-way guard. But there is even an option for the Timberwolves to keep a hold of Russell and acquire Brogdon, which could make them a real danger next season. Do you see Brogdon in a Timberwolves uniform next season? Next up is Gordon Hayward heading back to Utah. The Jazz have been unsuccessful in their 2 previous playoff bids, and it's difficult to see Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell both returning next year. Moving one or both out would allow Utah to add a little depth to their roster, but letting them both go probably wouldn't be on the cards. It's been suggested that Utah could be set to bring in Gordon Hayward from the Hornets, as well as PJ Washington and Nick Richards, plus a 2022 first-round pick. In exchange, the Hornets would receive Gobert and a 2026 second-round pick. The Hornets have been looking to bring in a solid center for a long time now, and who better than Gobert? The 3-time Defensive Player of the Year would slot in perfectly for the Hornets, providing a great pick-and-roll option for the Charlotte outfit. Of course, for this to happen, the Hornets would have to move Gordon Hayward on, which is seeming more likely day by day. As we know, the Jazz are in need of scorers around Mitchell, but Hayward could be a risk that they're willing to take, especially since he already knows the setup in Utah. As well as Hayward, PJ Washington is another great option to add to the front court. Plus, they'd also have a first-round pick, which, if used wisely, they could use to bring in a talented young guy. Do you guys see this one playing out? We're talking about D'Angelo Russell now, so stick around. There's been some speculation that the Timberwolves could be looking to move Russell this offseason, largely due to his injury concerns. Having just gotten to the playoffs for the first time since 2018 and only the second time since 2005, they could be set to move Russell on thanks to his underwhelming performance in their first-round playoff series against Memphis. Of course, you can't blame Russell for the Timberwolves series defeat, but it could be said that he didn't particularly do a lot to help. Russell still has a year left on his contract, which is worth around $31 million, but a lot of teams won't be viewing him as a max contract type of player given his injury concerns. So could all this mean he's on his way out of Minneapolis? It's thought that the Timberwolves are looking to explore some options in their backcourt this offseason, and Russell would probably be a big draw for some teams. Even given his injury concerns, he's still averaging 18.1 points as well as 7.1 assists and 41.1% from the floor, and provided a great trio with Edwards and Towns. This potential trade could be the catalyst needed for Anthony Edwards to flourish. Plus, it could also provide the Minnesota outfit the opportunity to open up a significant amount of cap space. Do you guys see D'Angelo Russell moving off this season? A possible Ben Simmons trade now. Stay with us. There have been recent murmurings that the Brooklyn Nets could, in just a short time after acquiring Ben Simmons, be set to move him on during the offseason. They've been looking to fill a problem position at center for years now, and they probably thought that Ben Simmons would be the answer. However, he still provides a ton of drama, and there have been suggestions that the Brooklyn outfit could be looking at bringing in Rudy Gobert from the Jazz, sending Simmons the other way. Durant and Irving aren't getting any younger, and there's a school of thought which suggests that they need to do everything that they can to win a championship right now, as opposed to thinking about their future too much. Gobert would provide the organization with a sense of maturity maturity. And of course, he's an established center who would slot in perfectly, as the Nets would simply be looking for him to rebound, block shots, and finish off lobs to the rim. The potential trio of Gobert, Durant, and Irving would be salivating for fans, and would also answer those big questions that they have in the front court. But the other question lies in whether or not the Jazz would want to take a gamble on Simmons. As we mentioned, he comes with baggage, but his style could complement Donovan Mitchell very well indeed. And at 25, he's coming into his prime, and is of course still an elite level player. What do you guys think about this one? And finally, a Zach LaVine rumor. Stay tuned. This season could be seen as a success for the Bulls after making the playoff rounds for the first time in 5 years. But they could be about to lose one of their core players in LaVine, who is set to become an unrestricted free agent this offseason. But where might he be heading? Well, it's thought that the Bulls would like to keep a hold of their all-star, but there will be other teams sniffing around the 27-year-old shooting guard. It's thought that LaVine was potentially having his head turned by a possible move out west to the Trailblazers. And LaVine has been asked all season about his future plans, but hasn't really been forthcoming in providing real details about what might be next. Of course, staying with the Bulls is plausible, but he's been quoted as saying, "I plan to enjoy free agency. We're going to have to experience A through Z without making any fast decisions." I think that's something me and agent Rich Paul are going to go through and experience. I think it'll be interesting to see what LaVine ultimately ends up doing, and is definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. What do you guys see happening here? As always, thanks for stopping by today, and remember to join us next time for some more fun and games. And why not do us a solid and like and share this video with any NBA fans or friends you might have lurking on your socials. Later, guys.